Hi there, this is Grant, and I wanted to record this video to show you some key learns that I've had with meeting with a couple of the groups. Now, I still need to meet with quite a few of you still, but I thought you might find it helpful to watch this video to see some of the things I've been talking with the other groups. The first thing is just to make sure that you are at the unc.maps.arcgis.com. The easiest way to get there, I'm sure Lorna will show you too, is arcgis.com, and you want to um, log in with Enterprise ID and then UNC as the um, header here, and log in with your onion. So we've talked a lot about making sure before you go into StoryMap that all of your maps are done. And I find it most helpful to just save them as separate maps. Um, you might want to filter by different areas, but I find it much easier just to keep a single filter unless you're trying to layer two things on top of one another. And so, if you go to add and you go to living atlas layers, it's going to show you there's over, I think, 3,000 different layers. And there's a lot of good census data here. So, I can do census, or I can do median home price. I can do a number of different things. And, housing demographics, tracks, age and gender, etc. There's a lot here, and I would really encourage you to look at some of these tracks here. Look at there might be ancestry, um, and you can add those to the map, and you can start to explore the data, and maybe you'll see some things that you haven't seen before. um, this is going to take a little while to load, but you can do some exploring of showing the map legend. um, you can look at over here, you can do different visualizations. You can also do different filters for different values in the data. And so again, make sure you do some exploration in the maps, and that's going to create some really good analyses. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is, once you are starting to build your story map, um, how much easier it is once you have maps. So again, at the top here, it's going to show you what I'm adding to this main part. Typically you want to use a map. And then in custom configuration, that's where you're going to kind of determine where on the map, I want to go. So, if I'm interested in this area, I can save that location. And then I can, move on. So, once I've had my maps in here, it's much easier to take those in and add those to the story map rather than creating a new one. You can do that, but I just think it's much easier once you have your maps, because then all we're doing is adding map, text, images to this. So again, I can add images within here, and this is going to show up on the left-hand side. And then as you add different sections, like we can do a different map, I can do, a particular area on that map. I can move it over here and save that. Right, and then I can add, new text and images here. Right, and so I can move between, my first one and my second one. And what you can also do is you don't have to do maps over here. Again, if you select images over here, you can see it's the first panel here, and that's selected, and that's going to get you the images here. And so it's good. What I've been telling a lot of groups is just get your content in here, and you can adjust a lot of things once everything's in here. Like if I need to, if the way I storyboarded doesn't work, I can move sections around, right? So the most important thing is, I think, just overall, is to make sure that you do your maps before you bring them into StoryMap, and then get your content in here and really start looking at how the story's being told in the order and images that you're using. So I hope this was helpful. The last thing I just want to do is just to make sure when you're making maps, and if you're not seeing them, making sure that the sharing settings are to everyone and the university. That's going to make sure that you can see the maps, and that you can place them into StoryMap. So it's the last thing. Please email me, grantg@live.unc.edu if you have any more questions. But if not, I will see the rest of you in my office.